Howdy remarketing fans, and welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to explore a really fun and effective way of creating audiences into Google Analytics based on your Google AdWords traffic. As we all know, traffic from PPC, whether it be Google, Bing, is some of the most engaged and relevant traffic that your website is going to get. What you're looking at here is the analytics dashboard, the live analytics dashboard of one of our clients. And as you could see over here, their Google CPC traffic is some of their most engaged and important traffic that they get to their website. And our company manages all their PPC and remarketing campaigns. If you take a look here, you see just in the last couple months, 173,000 sessions from Google CPC, which is Google AdWords traffic. And what's more important, obviously you see lots of new users, a huge amount of revenue, $327,000 of revenue coming from AdWords. But what's even more important is take a look at this e-commerce conversion rate. Their AdWords conversion rate is a 3.5% e-commerce conversion rate, which means 3.5% of traffic coming from Google is actually buying something. But look at their direct and organic traffic, respectively. Direct traffic accounts for 3.3% conversion rate, and their organic traffic, which is sometimes, I would even say usually higher converting traffic than CPC, has a 2.06% conversion rate. I don't mean this as a plug for our company, but our AdWords campaigns for this client is generating one of their highest conversion rates across all their different mediums, even higher than direct and organic. So just based on looking at these metrics, and chances are your AdWords campaigns are also bringing in really good traffic that's converting, that's engaged. You want to have the ability to remarket to people who came from AdWords, and who came from specific campaigns, even more importantly. Remarketing based on AdWords campaigns is not just a way of getting AdWords users back to your site. That's not really what it's all about. You're able to remarket to people who came to your site who looked for specific things. That's the beauty of linking AdWords and analytics and sharing that information together. So for example, this client, they happen to sell lots of different, types of cables and cords for home theater setups, and they sell anything from TV wall mounts to media consoles to HDMI cables to switchers and adapters. And all these different products, they all represent different levels of value to their customers. Some of their products cost thousands of dollars, and some of their products cost $10. So with setting up remarketing campaigns based on AdWords campaigns, we have the ability to remarket to people who came from specific keywords. People who search Google for HDMI cable, we could put them in a specific remarketing audience and show ads that show our HDMI cable specials, and that also bring them back to the HDMI cable section of our website. That's the real power and beauty here. So if we take a look at this client's AdWords campaign, here we see all the different campaigns we have set up for them, different shopping campaigns, search campaigns, remarketing campaigns. And just as a quick aside, some of the data and you're going to see kind of blurred out or covered up different sections once I cut the video in post-production, and that's because we have to maintain the privacy of the client. I'm not going to give you the client's name. All this data I'm showing you is protected data. That's why I can't divulge who the client is or too much information about their products and services. But I can show you the basic setup and some of the broader concepts at play. So say we wanted to create a remarketing audience that targets people who came from a campaign, a search campaign that promoted HDMI cables and cords. So if I look here in the AdWords account, we have this campaign, HDMI cables and cords. Okay, this is a search campaign, and if I go into the campaign, we look at our ad groups. This is a campaign that's primarily targeting people looking for HDMI cables and cords. And of course, not everybody who clicks on an ad is going to buy from us right away. It has a good click conversion rate, 4.35%, but a lot of people, meaning almost 96% of people, are not buying on their first time. A large contingency of those people are never going to buy from us. That's just how it is. But a good amount of those people are just comparison shopping. They didn't say no to us. They didn't necessarily decide to buy from another company. They just haven't bought from us yet. And a good remarketing campaign could be very effective at getting those people back to us. So let's go ahead and set up a remarketing campaign that's based on people who came from this specific campaign. So once again, note the name of the campaign, AMG, whatever, the date, HDMI cables and cords. We're going to find this campaign inside analytics. And to do that, once again, you go over to your admin section. You go under audience definitions, audiences, like you know how to do. And let's go ahead and create a new audience. We're going to select the view, and I'm going to keep it selected as it is here. And we're going to select our destination AdWords account and click next step. And we're going to go ahead and create new. Before we jump into actually creating our campaign, you might notice something pretty interesting. You're seeing a new attribute here in the audience builder called e-commerce. Under e-commerce, we could segment our users by their transactions and their revenue, which is a really powerful way to set up remarketing audiences for e-commerce companies. You could get as granular as a specific transaction ID, which means you could remarket to people who made specific purchases on your site. It's crazy. You could remarket to people who generated a certain amount of revenue, how long it took them to get to a specific transaction, which product they bought under which product category. So you could really set up for e-commerce. You could set up some incredible remarketing campaigns over here. So let's go over to traffic sources, and we're going to filter our sessions. And we're going to start filling out these attributes to match up with how we want this remarketing audience to work. So remember, we wanted to create a campaign that targets anybody who came from that HDMI cables and cords AdWords campaign. So under campaign, we're going to say exactly matches. And right when we enter in our cursor into the field, we have a drop down of our most popular campaigns. And I happen to have found it right here. This was the campaign we wanted to target. I could also just start typing, right? I could start typing in cables and cords, and I'll find it. So I'm going to select that. When we get to medium, I could leave it blank because all the traffic coming from this campaign is CPC traffic. There's no need to add the medium qualifier. There are times where you are going to use the medium qualifier. For example, let's say you have a campaign set up that's targeting HDMI cables and cords, right? So you might have a campaign, HDMI cables and cords, and it might not necessarily be an AdWords campaign. It's a campaign that your company is running. And you might run that campaign through different mediums, right? You might have that campaign, that same title running through Facebook. You might have it running through Google. You might have it running through email. And you might have used the same campaign title, HDMI cables and cords, for all three different mediums. And that's when you would use medium. You might create one campaign, HDMI cables and cords, with a medium of Facebook, another one with a medium of CPC, another one with a medium of email. It all depends on how you set up your campaign structure, tagging your URLs. We haven't talked about tagging your URLs yet, but we will. But in our particular case, especially with AdWords, your campaign names are typically going to be unique. And that's the easiest way to do it. So we could leave medium blank, and we could, for the same reason, we could leave medium blank, we could leave source blank. But now let's take a look at keyword, right? We have multiple different keywords in this campaign. And to simplify things, I created a very simple structure in this campaign just for the purposes of this lecture. We have just a short list of basic keywords running in this campaign right now. Now, let's say, for example, I wanted to have a remarketing audience, very, very specific, very narrow, right? I wanted to target just people who searched for HDMI cable, nothing else. For example, I might know that this specific keyword always brings in the best traffic. It always brings in the highest converting traffic. So I'm just going to create an audience for people from this campaign who search for this specific keyword. So let's go back over to Google Analytics, and I'll do keyword exactly matches, and I'll start typing HDMI cable and hit enter when I find it, and that's that. I now have set up an audience that is only targeting people from a specific AdWords campaign that came from a specific keyword. If I didn't want or didn't need this keyword qualifier, I could simply click the X and just revert to this audience, including any session that came from this specific campaign. Now let's do it in reverse. Let's say I have the keyword HDMI cable in multiple campaigns in my account, right? I might have different campaigns that are targeting different locations. And there's duplicate keywords across those campaigns. I might have campaigns that there's overlapping products, and we have that same keyword across multiple campaigns, which is okay, which is fine. So instead of doing campaign exactly matches AMG, what I could do is the medium, right, exactly matches CPC, which means anything from AdWords. It'll also be anything from Bing. I could say it has to come from AdWords if I do source contains Google, right? So that my source is Google, my medium is CPC, so that's anything coming from AdWords, and my keywords is simply HDMI cable. This setup, where you're using medium, source, and keyword, but not campaign, will add any user or any session that came from AdWords, meaning AdWords means the source is Google and the medium is CPC, and the keyword that user searched for that led them to click on one of my ads that came to my website was HDMI cable. This is another way of matching it up. And just to show you, we could, let's say I clicked out of these and I went into AdWords and I wanted to target anybody who came from one of my shopping campaigns. We know that shopping campaigns could be a very effective way of bringing in high quality traffic. In fact, the highest spending campaigns for this client are all shopping campaigns. If you take a look at these first 5 campaigns, they spent, 20, 40, 50, 55, 60, $65,000 in the last couple of months. We could take a look at through the different conversion rates, the different ROI, however you decide you want to set up your remarketing audiences. So let's say we see network cables 2.0 catch, right? We're not going to get into why we named it that way. That's for another time. But let's say I wanted to set up another remarketing audience for this campaign specifically, for users who came through this shopping campaign. So I'd simply go back to Google Analytics and under campaign, type in the name network cables 2.0 catch. And that's that. And I can just click apply. I could make my membership duration, let's say 180 days if I wanted to. I have my users over the last 7 days as 330. This is accurately updating over here. So let's go ahead and name our new audience. And just for simplicity's sake, we could name it AdWords, network cables, and then go ahead and click save. And now we have set up our basic audience for this specific AdWords campaign. We now have the ability to set up a new remarketing campaign in AdWords targeting ads to people who came initially from this campaign, but we can get a little bit more sophisticated. Let's say I wanted to go ahead and edit this. So we hover over the gray box, we edit, we click on the pencil icon to edit our parameters. And let's say we only wanted to target people who came through a specific device. We could do that by opening up the technology menu. And we're now presented with things like operating system, the version, the browser. There's all these different types of granular parameters that we could get involved with and use to qualify who gets added to this audience. So if we wanted to just set up a simple device category qualifier, we could just simply come down to the device category attribute, keep it at contains, and you'll see once you put your cursor into the field, you have 3 options: desktop, mobile, and tablet. So for example, let's say I only wanted to target people who came through AdWords on a desktop. And then we see once we select a desktop on our nice right-hand side over here, we could see all the different parameters we have set up. So our technology contains desktop and our traffic source is this campaign. And I like this right-hand menu over here because as you continue to go down and you add more and more parameters, you could easily have an overview, have a simple overview of everything you've done over here, and you could actually remove specific parameters from this right-hand menu itself. So if I went ahead and clicked the X, that would remove it over here. So let's go back and add desktop. Another cool feature of the audience builder is you get this little gray icon over here that shows you how many attributes you have set up for this audience in any given category. So let's say we went to traffic sources and we added it had to be a specific keyword for this campaign. So let's say we did HDMI cable. Okay, this traffic source indicator changed from 1 to 2 because we have 2 different parameters under this category that we're using to qualify the audience. And if we remove it, it goes back down to 1. Very, very cool. The reason why device category is so important is because almost every business that we've encountered across hundreds of our clients, they've all had different results based on device. Some of our clients have more effective campaigns and their traffic converts better on mobile. It depends on the nature of your business. If you're a local jet ski rental, then you might do better on mobile because people are searching for you on mobile more often. If you're a sophisticated e-commerce company, if you're an industrial supply store, you're going to do better on desktop every single time, which doesn't mean that mobile traffic is bad. Mobile traffic could be very good to bring people in and get a lot of brand awareness, but you might not be selling as much on mobile. So it all depends on your remarketing campaign strategy. For some of you, you're going to want to qualify a remarketing audience by device type. Some of you are not going to want to qualify your remarketing audience by device type. It's totally up to you. I'm just showing you some general ideas that will matter, that will make a difference depending on your specific goals, on your specific marketing objectives. We could do device category contains mobile, and now we're only adding people or cookies to this audience who came from this specific AdWords campaign and also came to the site on mobile. Now let's say we wanted to target tablet and desktop, just not mobile. So easily we could just do, instead of contains, we say does not contain. So now it does not contain mobile, which basically means by the very simple tenets of conditional logic that Desktop and tablet are included, but mobile is knocked out. So you could play around with it that way as well. Now, say you wanted to use one audience in Google Analytics that targets anybody who came from any of 2 or 3 or 4 different AdWords campaigns. How would you do that? Because over here, you only have the option of adding one campaign, right? You see that one campaign. I don't have the option to add another campaign. Think for a second how we might do that. If you said to navigate to the conditions menu under the advanced section, you were correct. Let's go ahead and knock out this traffic source over here and go down to conditions. The conditions section is a place where you're going to always be able to do multiple things of what you're doing up here and get more advanced. That's why it's called advanced. So under add content, we're going to keep filtering sessions that include under add content. Instead of looking for page like we've looked for in the past, we're going to start typing in campaign. And we see after we type in the first 3 letters, we have under the advertising section, we have campaign. So we could do campaign, exactly what we did last time. Campaign exactly matches. And we once again have our drop down. So let's say the first one we did was that search campaign, search number campaign, HDMI cables and cords. Or, right, if we did we would have nobody we would almost have nobody on our list because it would mean that the person that has had to have come through both campaigns. So we'll do campaign exactly matches this, or campaign exactly matches the network cables. And we could add or campaign exactly matches the branding general campaign, right? And once again, we see all these conditions being updated here in our right-hand menu. So if I remove that branded campaign, we're now targeting anybody who came through any of these 2 campaigns. This conditions area will work really, really well when there's not that much of a difference between the traffic coming from any 2 specific campaigns. The messaging in your ads will want to be the same. Remember, every ad group is going to have its own set of ads. So if you want to target the same set of ads to both of these segments, to people who came through either one of these 2 campaigns, then using the conditions area of the audience builder is a very effective way to do that.